My beloved Black people, welcome back to the plight and struggle of Black people in America. As always, on Sundays, we have our Prominent Black People series. And as usual, we have some good people to talk about. Today, we'll be mentioning a few things about Fannie Lou Hamer, Shirley Chisholm, and Mary Seacole. Now, Fannie Lou Hamer, she was an American civil rights activist. She was born October 6, 1917, Montgomery County, Mississippi. She died March 14, 1977 in Taborian Hospital, Mound Bayou. And she was 59 years of age. Now, Fannie Lou Hamer was an American voting and women's rights activist, community organizer, and a leader in the civil rights movement. She was the co-founder of and vice chair of the Freedom Democratic Party, which she represented at the 1964 Democratic National Convention in Chicago, Illinois. Fannie Lou Hamer was famous for a few different sayings that she had. One of them was she would say, "When I liberate myself, I liberate others. If you don't speak out, ain't nobody going to speak out for you." And she would sometimes say, "Never to forget where we came from and always praise the bridges that carried us over." And she would other times say, "Nobody's free until everybody's free." She would say sometimes, "Righteousness exalts a nation. Hate just makes everybody miserable." Fannie Lou Hamer was something else. She said we have to build our own power, which is true. We have to win every single political office we can where we have the majority of Black people. And this one she's probably more known for than some of the others. She had said one day, "I am sick and tired of being sick and tired." Another one she would like to say, she says, "Hate won't only destroy us, it will destroy these people that's hating us as well." She also said, "There's one thing you have got to learn about our movement. Their people are no better than no people." I'm sorry, I misquoted that one. She said three people are better than no people. That was what she said. And I can attest to that myself from an experience right here in Dallas, Texas. Me and a grandmother from West Dallas Projects one year actually. Somehow she heard about me out there protesting with the Warriors with County Commissioner John Wally Price. Long story short, we got together. It was a principal at that school, George Washington Carver Learning Center, that was really a problem. It was a female, Black female. And long story short, again, me and Miss Beverly Miles, we went over there and protested that school. First of all, we met with the school superintendent first, which at that time was a Caucasian guy named Mike Moses. Me and Miss Beverly Miles, we went and met with him with one of her friends. I forget the lady name that was with us. But anyway, we talked to him, aired our concerns. He acted like he was listening, but he never did respond in a way that we told him that, okay, if you didn't do something about this, well, we'll just have to protest that school until something is done. And he didn't do anything. And me and Miss Miles, I think her friend started with us maybe the first 2-3 times, maybe. Then it was just me and Miss Miles. And we stayed out there all school year. Just me and her, even in the rain. And you know, when chanting on that bullhorn, there's a lot of things you can say. And I suspect sometimes the truth hurts. But anyway, this one time, because when we would do it, the children would be going to class, have to line up, pass by. This one kindergarten student, Caucasian teacher, she came by and she was so frustrated that morning. She did it right in front of the children. She gave us the middle finger. I was like, wow, that was cold. But anyway, that just shows the point that Fannie Lou Hamer was making. She said 3 people is better than no people. Well, in the case of me and Miss Beverly Miles, 2 people was better than no people because we got the job done. The next school year, the principal was gone, and we were successful. And I have to mention this. After we had that success, oh, wow, Miss Miles, woo-wee, she became a great warrior after that. I heard one time she was somewhere, somebody was irritating, and she said, don't let me have to come protest, y'all. See, that's what success does. It shows you that you can do whatever you want to do with the right intentions and persistency and determination, all those good things. Okay. So I'd like to say to Ms. Hamer, thank you for paving the way for Black voting rights, for fearlessness and powerful legacy. And you remain an inspiration to all of us. For me, for sure. I can speak for myself without doubt. But thank you, Fannie Lou Hamer, one of our many, many historical Black people. And we have current Black people, too, that are wonderful people, just like my last guest, which was Dr. Candace Lucas Bledsoe, where she happened to mention a sister, Ida B. Wells, that's who it was. And she made some great points about Ida B. Wells, okay? Because, like, for instance, Ida B. Wells, she wrote several books, okay? And she was very passionate for our justice. And just like Dr. Candace Lucas Bledsoe mentioned, because, see, when you do different things in a society, we in a capitalist society, it takes money, okay? So sometimes people have the best of intentions, but don't necessarily have the financial resources, maybe to write a book or whatever else. And Ida B. Wells, she was many things, investigative reporter and other things. But anyway, Dr. Candace mentioned the fact that Madam C.J. Walker became an advocate for Ida B. Wells and helped her financially. Just like she wrote another book, Southern Horrors. And it showed how in this nation that they did things that were so horrific that actually proved how inhumane those people were. But they say that we're the menace to society. And it's really these people. I mean, who does this? And this book is talking about how these type of lynchings would be gatherings where these people would bring their family, children, all this sort of thing, and basically make a fun time. They would have postcards they would make out of these afterwards and send them to people like this is a normal thing to do. It's horrible. It's terrible. But speaking about books, though, there's a lot of good ones. But see, one thing that I really, really admire about this book here, I know that this book will solidify the fact to Black people that's recognizing and noticing that this is part of the brutality that Black people have had to suffer here in this country. Like this cap says, Black Wall Street, that's just one of several incidents that have happened to Black people as far as being a victim of a Black massacre. I heard of the Black Wall Street in Tulsa. I heard of the situation in Rosewood, Florida. And the situation in Philadelphia, I didn't know it was categorized as a Black massacre with the MOVE group. But this book has thorough documentation of 27 Black massacres in this country inflicted upon Black people. Now, they tell us all the time, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But then we do, and then they target us, bomb us, and kill us. So, wow. Black people, when we unite, we will thrive rather than merely survive. And that's truth. Now, going to our next prominent Black person, It'd be Shirley Chisholm. Now, Shirley Chisholm, she was a former New York State representative. Shirley Chisholm was born November 30th, 1924 in Brooklyn, New York. She died January 1st, 2005 in Ormond Beach, Florida. Shirley Anita Chisholm was an American politician who in 1968 became the first Black woman elected to the United States Congress. Shirley Anita Chisholm represented New York's 12th congressional district for 7 terms, from 1969 to 1983. Sister Chisholm, she actually had started her professional career as a teacher. She served as director of the Hampton Madison Child Care Center until the late 1950s. Then as an educational consultant for New York City's Bureau of Child Welfare, Shirley Chisholm became the first female African-American to earn election to Congress. And in 1972, Shirley Anita Chisholm made history again by becoming the first Black woman of a major party to run for a presidential nomination. That's our sister, one of our many great sisters and brothers. Now, after serving 7 terms in the House, Shirley Anita Chisholm retired from public office to become a teacher and public speaker. She went back to her roots. It was also noted that Shirley Chisholm spent part of her childhood in Barbados with her grandmother. It didn't say how many years of her life or during which part of her childhood, but I just thought that was interesting, having those roots to Barbados, to where she actually did get to go there and visit her grandparent. And I could just imagine the type of conversations and morals and principles that had been instilled in this sister when she was a child, from that grandparent. Wow. So anytime I talk about these different people, please research them and, find out about them extensively, because these are some really interesting people that did some interesting things, and we all can do something. I was at a rally downtown City Hall yesterday. Mayhem, the mentor, and a fella that he binds with to try to help mentor the youth, to stay out of prison, don't get in these gangs and all that. And that particular brother that was with Mayhem, the mentor, big somebody, he was a big dude. But anyway, he said, if you don't see the situation to get involved in, well, create it. Oh, yeah, and I really embrace that. That's so true, because there's different things, and sometimes you may not agree with this, agree with that, but you're yet passionate, and you want to do something, and you're willing to do something. Sometimes you create that avenue or that lane that is what your passion is about, what your heart feels that you should do to contribute to our plight and struggle as a collective Black people, and just do that, if you don't see anything already going on or don't know how to get attached to it or something like that. And so, yeah, that was really great to go to that rally to see. These were Black men that had done significant prison time, and they're committed now to help our youth stay away from that type of life that will land them either in prison or in the cemetery, or some type of physical handicap that you can't overcome, wheelchair bound or whatever. So yeah, there's a lot of things, and Black people, we're coming together. We're going to handle our business. We're going to do what we're supposed to do, which is unite, utilize our resources for our own well-being and betterment. We're supposed to be gathering everything good for our future generations of our youth, our babies and children, our children's children, you see. So last but not least, our sister, Mary Seacole. Now, this situation is really, really interesting for me because, normally when I talk about a brother or a sister, before I even researched them or talked about them, I knew something about them before, probably quite a bit. But this next person, I had never heard of this sister until relatively recently. It was definitely this year. One thing about this social media thing, you get to meet different people in different ways sometimes. Like perfect example, this Facebook thing. It'll say that I don't know if it say I've been a member or whatever words they use since 2015. Well, actually, 2015, I did open an account through my phone, and I guess it sticks with you. And I only did it to see how it worked because I heard so much stuff, but I really didn't mess with it. I really got active on social media the last week of January 2020 because I can remember that easily because I just happened to be visiting my mom in Lumberton, North Carolina at the nursing home that she was staying in. So that's why I can remember that. And I've been active since then. So that's like about 2.5 years. And this has been an interesting experience for me, actually. And like I said, this sister, Mary Seacole, that I hadn't known about on my own, but there's a brother that he's in the UK. And we've done the friend thing on Facebook. And anyway, his name is Trevor. I think I asked this brother, who are some of your favorite people, most admired people, how I put it, over there in the UK, black people, specifically, over in the UK. And he did mention a couple of brothers, but I think he said this sister, Mary Seacole, I think was like his most admired. So I'm like, okay, so I did a little research. And it's really interesting about this sister. And it's so interesting how we don't know so much about our own people, but that's by design, I'm sure. Anyway, moving on with the sister. Okay, Mary Seacole. Mary Seacole, she was born November 23rd, 1805 in Kingston, Jamaica. She died May 14th, 1881 in Paddington, London, United Kingdom at the age of 75. Now it says that it says she was a British Jamaican nurse and businesswoman who set up the British Hotel behind the lines during the Crimean War. Okay. Now the Crimean War, I found out. Okay, that was a war when the UK and France united to fight Russia. And apparently during that time, Ukraine, the same country, I believe, being attacked by Russia now, they were united at that time. And I think that was the primary land portion that was given the UK and France this big problem out of the Ukraine, but it was the Crimean War, which was the war against Russia. And I suspect on that time the Soviet Union was still intact, so that would make Ukraine part of that, you see. And so, anyway, so this sister, even though she wasn't born in money, okay, but through her business dealings, she became well off. But she was such the humanitarian that she just went various places where vast help was needed, and she wanted to provide it. That is pretty great. Anyway, it says Mary Seacole is most famous for breaking social rules and prejudices to travel the world, run businesses, and help those in need, even in the most dangerous places. Mary Seacole is best known for her work as a nurse in the Crimean War. Mary Seacole will forever be remembered as an incredible woman and inspiring role model. Now, it says Mary Seacole, she treated many cholera patients in Panama with various remedies. Okay, now it says Mary Seacole learned herbal medicines. Oh my goodness. Herbal medicines from her mother. Now, while I'm researching for the sister, uh, Mary Seacole, and you see that little bit that I found out about it. Now, what comes up is another lady named Florence Nightingale. Now, I've heard that name before, but I don't really know what it was in reference to. But the name rung a bell. And now I'm coming to find out, it turns out that Florence Nightingale is often acknowledged as the pioneer of modern nursing. And it says that Mary Seacole had been practicing her remedies, her herbal remedies and hygienes decades before the European woman. I thought that interesting, and it is interesting because they said decades before the European woman, but yet we have this Nightingale lady that was doing some things. Now she's born a little differently, a little later than our sister Mary. Like this Nightingale lady, she was born May 12, 1820 in Florence, Italy, and she died August 13th, 1910, Mayfield, London, United Kingdom. So that just shows, no matter the topic, era, location, when it comes to Black people and contributions that we have made and continue to make, it's always a discrepancy in us receiving proper credit, proper acknowledgement, even proper respect. And for all the things we have seen as a Black people in this nation, it's easy to conclude that we're not loved by this nation. I mean, we're not even supported by this nation. How is it that a people in a nation is part of a nation that doesn't even want to see them reach their full potential? I mean, what is that? Is that something beyond hate? Is it hate? Well, maybe we'll figure it out. But what I do know, what's most important, is that Black people unite, utilize our resources for our own well-being and betterment. And in that case, in that moment, we will thrive rather than merely survive. And the good part for everybody is when we do our thing and reach the points and peaks that we're supposed to, that'll make the nation and the world a better place for everybody. Even though my main concern is Black people, but yes, we'll be the greatest as we actually are today.